Hello and welcome to F1 Chat here on Technically Analytics. Today we're going to be talking about the Spanish Grand Prix results. And we're going to start with our usual team, Kick Sauber. Zhao, P13, Bottas, P16. Sauber still looked very lost out there. Zhao showed some promise. He was in the points for like a few laps, but they looked really bad still. And I don't know. They're the only team outside of the next team, like Williams, that hasn't shown any improvement at all. And they just feel like they're stuck back there. They're just stuck in the back. I think they're just punting this year because they're going to be Audi soon, and they're trying to transition it and all that. But yeah, it's been bad. There's nowhere. So next we're gonna go with Williams. P18 for Albon, P20 for Sargent. Sargent had a honker of a race. He had a lackluster race to begin with, but before the race even started in qualifying, he had a disaster. Qualified P20, impeded, I think it was Lance Stroll, and then he had a 3-place grid drop to P20. So yeah, that's a real thing. Albon, he had no pace whatsoever. Like, I don't know what to do with Williams. I think they're just because they had all those crashes and all those part issues earlier in the year with the chassis and all that. So they're kind of just lost too. Unlike this next team, which has actually been on an improvement of late with consistent finishes. Alpine, Ocon P10, 1 point. Gasly P9, 2 points. So really good stuff from Alpine. Actually, they were in Q3 again, and they actually did some good stuff, and that's a good result for them. Another one similar to Canada, and their season seems to be turning around just like a little bit. Like they're starting to get the car under them, starting to turn it around. It doesn't look like an absolute tractor like the Kick Sauber, and you know, it's looking good for them. That at least they're showing improvement, and that's good because they didn't look good at the beginning of the year. And next we have Haas, K-Mag, P17, Hulk, P11. Both drivers received penalties for different reasons. K-Mag is on the line of being banned from a race here. I don't know if he got a penalty point for it though, but he's very close. He's like 2 points away from having a ban. And I believe K-Mag's penalty was actually a false start, but apparently it wasn't. I didn't see it on the race footage, but it was like very kind of like on the line, maybe not a slam dunk. And then Hulk was caught speeding in the pit lane, which is always a slam dunk because if like it's a speed limit, you have to, if you go over it, you're gonna get cooked. It's always monitored. So the pace wasn't really there for Haas, and they were never really in the points. They never had an opportunity. I mean, Hulk was close, but never really got there. And next we have VCarb, Racing Bulls, Ricardo P15, Sonoda P19. Rough couple of weeks for Racing Bulls. Sonoda lost his consistency that he had. He was finishing like top 10 basically every race. Past few races, he's finished out of the points. He had that crash last week, and then in last race, and then he had this race where he just couldn't find the pace, and he just didn't. He never got out of the bottom like 5 of drivers basically. And Ricardo never had any consistency to begin with, so he's back to his usual self, I guess. Who knows what's gonna happen next week? Maybe he finds it again. I guess we'll see. He's usually pretty good at the Red Bull Ring anyway. And then next we have Aston Martin, Alonso P12, Stroll P14. Alonso and Stroll both fell short on pace of the front runners, so they qualified decent, or at least Alonso did, I guess. Like they were decent, they're in the middle of the pack, and they finished in the middle of the pack, but that means that their pace it's not quite there. Like like I said last time, like if they had more pace, they could be close to Mercedes at least, if not ahead of them. But because Mercedes has actually taken a step forward, Aston Martin is just lost. Like they're kind of just in the middle in no man's land, yeah, I don't. I mean, they're gonna need to find some pace, find some improvements, some upgrades, something, because they're not anywhere near Mercedes. Which, speaking of Mercedes, they had a great race. Hamilton P3, 15 points. Russell P4, 12 points. Hamilton had a solid race. He had some great overtakes. Just looked good in the car overall. Like he looked like Lewis Hamilton. Like you would think of him as like he looked prime, you know. And he was the Mercedes just has slightly less pace than McLaren and Ferrari, and even though they were ahead of Ferrari this race, but and then Red Bull, like McLaren and Red Bull were above the rest, and then it was Mercedes and then Ferrari. So they were just like yeah, like they just didn't have enough. I think if Hamilton had better, if Mercedes had better track position with Hamilton on the soft tires, he might have been able to make a run at second place. I mean, thankfully Norris held him off, but and then Russell, he had another weird disaster strategy call with hard tires late. Like Hamilton went soft because obviously the Russell went hard a couple laps before, and it just didn't work for him. He just it like just like after like the first couple laps, it just fell off completely, and he was like, "I'm already sliding," and I was like, "Well, that's you knew it was gonna happen though. Like hard tires aren't even good on that circuit. The Barcelona circuit isn't even good for hard tires because it's such a challenging, so many like different types of turns that it doesn't work." And then obviously Russell had that crazy dive bomb over Verstappen and Norris to get the lead at the beginning of the race, which uh hurt my soul basically because I knew something like that was gonna happen because like that just always happens to Norris. He gets very unlucky when he's on pole, kind of like Leclerc, and it just it happened. At least it was over fast. He just died. I was like, oh my gosh, how did he do that, bro? And then he got passed over Verstappen like a lap later, so I didn't feel that bad, but it yeah. It was a dive bomb of the century though. I have to give him credit for that one. And next we have McLaren Piastri, uh, P7, which I didn't change their thing. I skipped them. Oh, cool. And Norris P2, 18 points. So for Piastri, he just didn't have a good weekend. Really, he didn't qualify too well, and then he had damage, I think, at the end of qualifying, and then he just lacked the pace in the race. And then Lando, he was good actually. He was good everywhere but the start. Like in the start, he just had a bad start, and it cost him because Russell dive bombed Verstappen got by him as well. And then and then as the strategy kind of played out, it kind of played in his favor, so he was able to get back the P2 at least. And I mean, if he had more pace early on, he could have maybe fought Verstappen at the end, but it turned out that Verstappen just was way too far ahead. He's way too good, and yeah, but overall, it's like a good race for McLaren, and Norris is now P2 in the Drivers' Championship, so there's that. And moving on, we have Ferrari, Sainz P6, 8 points, Leclerc P5, 10 points. Sainz got passed by Hamilton, and he got pushed off a little bit, and he complained way too much about it. Like it was a fair pass, like it was a fair push off. It wasn't like egregious. I don't think it was racing. Like he did touch a little bit, but it wasn't like egregious. And then bad strategy call for both Ferrari drivers. I don't know what they were doing with him. They had, especially Leclerc, he had a good race despite that, but Leclerc, they kept him out on like extended runs for some reason on tires where he should have probably pitted like when everyone else did, because there was only like one successful strategy, and that was the one where everyone was on. So it was pretty weird that they kind of bottled it like that, and it's typical Ferrari fashion, of course. And then last but not least, we have Red Bull. Perez P8, 4 points. Verstappen P1, 25 points. Verstappen proved why he's so good. He showed a driving masterclass again, because Red Bull doesn't have the advantage it had before. So Verstappen just drove really well again, and it gave him the win, and that's really all you have to do. And he's proven that over and over again. It's not the car that makes Verstappen good. It's actually just him. He's just elite at driving. Like That's what I've come to the conclusion, because now the difference between Red Bull and McLaren and Ferrari is not that big. Like the gap isn't that big anymore. It's maybe a couple tenths, like anywhere from a tenth to maybe 2 or 3 tenths between, and that proves that like he's just a really great driver, and it's no wonder why he's won so much in the past few years now. So, and then his struggling teammate Sergio Perez finally had a decent race, although didn't look good at the beginning, but solid finish for him. 4 points, P8. Finally, he gets out of the funk a little bit. If he can continue to stay out of the funk, that'll be good, because that new contract looks terrible right now. So yeah, he needs to step it up. I don't know why he can't drive in Europe, but he just can't. Yeah, so that's gonna wrap up the analysis for the Spanish Grand Prix. Almost called it Austrian or Australian or something. I don't know what I'm thinking. So yeah, Spanish Grand Prix. Tune in next week because there's another race. And so there'll be another video coming out about that Grand Prix. I believe it's in Austria at the Red Bull Ring. So make sure to like and subscribe for more content like this. And thank you for watching.